Lord of life, we come to you. Lord of all, our Saviour be. Come to bless and to heal with the light of your love.
Good morning. Very welcome to our service. Today on the 29th of March 2020, this is the 5th Sunday of Lent. How I wish that I could be standing at the door of Arrochar Church and Luss Church, welcoming you, giving you a handshake, but unfortunately, due to the coronavirus, we're unable to do it. The churches, the church buildings are closed. Yes, even the shops are closed. It seems as if the whole community is grinding to a standstill, to a halt. However, we can still celebrate our Sunday and our worship. And today we welcome our friends from the west of Scotland who are joining us, as well as everyone who is watching this service. We find it hard to cope with a time like this, a time when we are confined to our homes, a time when we do not have the busyness that we're used to. It seems as if we're almost addicted to a hectic routine. We have to keep on going, and now suddenly it's quiet. And yet a time of quietness and stillness is not really a vacuum. It shouldn't be. It can be rich. It can be full. And perhaps we can redeem something of the gift of the Sabbath. The Lord gave us the Sabbath many years ago as a gift. Sadly, it's a gift that we did not appreciate. It's a gift that we have wasted and forgotten. And yet, in the stillness and the quietness, when the routine is broken, something wonderful can happen. It is in stillness that we can discover dimensions of life that we were not aware of. It is in stillness that we can explore new horizons. It is in stillness that we become aware of the needs, the pain, the joys, the dreams of our fellow human beings. It is in stillness that we become aware of the needs of God's creation. It is in stillness that we become aware of the eternal arms underneath. It is in stillness that we enter into the presence of God. It is in stillness that we are transformed to be worthy instruments in God's hand, to be God's hands and arms, to reach out and to embrace those who are suffering. In returning and rest, you shall be saved. In quietness and in trust shall be your strength. Be still and know that I am God.
Good morning. I'm standing in this beautiful church, St. Oran's in Coll, And I'm thinking of a song that Neil Diamond once wrote called Beautiful Noise. In the song, he sings about his loneliness and the fact that the sounds of the city, the cars, the trains, the buses, voices, even strangers' voices, all seem to wrap around him and make him feel less lonely, even warm and comfortable. I'm thinking of another beautiful noise today. The beautiful noise of a Sunday service. Not just the service itself, but what happens before and what happens after. Before service, people would file in, greet one another. I can hear them laughing. There's a sense of excitement. And I can't wait to step in and share in this fellowship. And then after the service, the after party, where we walk up to one another and we greet one another, hug one another, share coffee and tea, share a joke. How I love it when I don't want to go home after a service and we stay an hour or even more just enjoying the warm fellowship. And now all of this is for the moment gone. And we face a silence. How do we handle this silence, this deafening silence? How do we make the most of it? Let me take you back to the prophet Elijah and his journey into the desert. He was fleeing from Queen Jezebel and her army. They wanted to kill him. And that made him feel very depressed. And he lay down under a tree and he just wanted to die. But God sent an angel to feed him, give him food and water, so he could get up and walk, but he's still in the desert. He's still alone. You see, it's not just our bodies that need food. Just going to Tesco and getting food won't really feed our souls. The human soul, the human psyche, needs food more than anything else. And that's why God said to Elijah, I will come to you. You are not alone. Go up this holy mountain. There's a cave up there. Stand in the mouth of the cave, and as darkness comes, I will come to you. I will come to you. He stood in the mouth of the cave, and strange things started to happen. I'm not sure if I remember the sequence right, but this is what happens. There was a storm, thunder and lightning, but God was not in the storm. Then came an earthquake, and it seemed like everything was ripped open in front of him, the whole landscape. God was not in the earthquake. And then a fire, a blazing fire, engulfing everything in front of him. But God was not in the fire. God eventually came as a gentle whisper, a still, small voice. And in that stillness and that silence, he found his peace, and his soul was fed. Let us sing the next hymn, which gives us an insight on how we can find God when everything is still.
Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am God.
The reading is taken from the book of Kings, chapter 19, reading verses 10 to 13. He answered, Lord God Almighty, I have always served you, you alone. But the people of Israel have broken their covenant with you, torn down your altars, and killed all your prophets. I am the only one left, and they are trying to kill me. Go out and stand before me on top of the mountain, the Lord said to him. Then the Lord passed by and sent a furious wind that split the hills and shattered the rocks. But the Lord was not in the wind. The wind stopped blowing, and then there was an earthquake, but the Lord was not in the earthquake. After the earthquake, there was a fire, but the Lord was not in the fire. After the fire, there was the soft whisper of a voice. When Elijah heard it, he covered his face with his cloak and went out and stood at the entrance of the cave. A voice said to him, Elijah, what are you doing here?
And now you may say that was a beautiful story of Elijah, but I'm not a prophet. I'm just me. How can I get to a point where I can hear that still small voice and get food for my soul? Let me tell you another story, but this time from my life. And my brother Louis and my sister Esther will remember this so well. We were passionate about Kruger National Park, a game reserve in Africa that's roughly the size of Scotland, but is as close to heaven, I think, as we can get on earth, because once you step out of civilization into the bush, you step back in time and you feel time as it was for centuries, and there's something deep and profound wrapping itself around you. Well, as kids, we were not much bothered about all those deep things. We just wanted to see game, the big five. And we were so excited, who's going to see the first lion or buffalo? But my dad did a strange thing. As soon as we passed through the gate, let's say Numbi Gate, he would wait till we can't see the gate, nothing of civilization behind us, and then he would stop the car. Just stop it. What a weird thing to do. Here we are, all buzzing with excitement. My dad stops the car and he says, roll down your windows and be quiet. Don't talk. And we would sit there, flabbergasted. Why? But if you sit long enough and you listen to the silence, something starts happening inside you. It was as if the silence of the bush, which is a language of its own, came like the wind blowing through the windows, walking into our car, into our hearts. And if you sit long enough and you let that silence wrap itself around you, you find a kind of peace. It's like tuning into a radio station, finding the right frequency to hear your favorite song. You just know that you've nailed it. And when we've all nailed it, my dad would say, good. He started the car and we would continue on our adventure into the Kruger Park. I'll never forget that, because this is very much in the way we have to let God come into us and allow ourselves to tune into that frequency. Just roll down the windows of your heart and listen to the silence. Whether the silence in your own bedroom, your lounge, your kitchen, your garden, listen, for the footsteps of God will still come your way like He used to visit Adam and Eve in the garden. Roll down those windows and let God walk into your heart once again as a gentle whisper and a still, small voice. And then we will find our peace. Amen.
Lord, teach me to pray. It sounds exciting put like that. It sounds real. An exploration. A chance to do more than catalogue and list the things I want to an eternal Father Christmas. The chance of meeting you, of drawing closer to the love that made me and keeps me and knows me. And Lord, it's only just begun. There is so much more of you, of love, the limitless expanse of knowing you. I could be frightened, Lord, in this wide country. It could be lonely, but you are here with me. The chance of learning about myself, of facing up to what I am, admitting my resentments, bringing my anger to you, my disappointments, my frustration, and finding that when I do, when I stop struggling and shouting and let go, you are still there, still loving. Sometimes, Lord, often, I don't know what to say to you, but I still come, in quiet, for the comfort of two friends sitting in silence. And it's then, Lord, that I learn most from you, when my mind slows down and my heart stops racing, when I let go and wait in the quiet, realizing that all the things I was going to ask for you already know. Then, Lord, without words, in the stillness, you are there, and I love you. Lord, teach me to pray.
Take, oh, take me as I am. Summon out what I shall be.